We are doing Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 12, Chapter 6. Yesterday we were doing Maharaja Parikshit passes away. Now, we had already come to a point where Maharaja Parikshit has passed away and Sukdev Goswami has left for the ashrama. Sutta Goswami was asked certain questions, and the questions that were asked to Sutta Goswami, who is responding to his fellow rishis, how this entire creation came about. So we had come to a point where the Omkara came up in the heart of Brahmaji. Now what happens after that? We are doing Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 12, Chapter 6, Maharaja Parikshit passes away. We are on verse 42. Omkara exhibited the three original sounds of the alphabet, A, U and Ma. And these three, O most eminent descendants of Bhrigu, sustain all the different threefolds aspect of material existence, including the three modes of nature, the names of Rig, Yajur and Samved, the goal known as Bhur, Bhuvar, Swar, and planetary systems, and the three functional platforms of waking, sleep and deep sleep. So in furtherance to the Omkara, which emanated from the heart of Brahmaji, these three represent multiple things. They represent the three domains, that is the heaven, the earth and the netherworlds. They represent the three kinds of consciousness, sleep and deep sleep. And there are various other things that it represents, the three major Vedas, which is called Rig, Yajur and Samved. Now, A, U and Ma are the beginning, the middle and the end. Now, this forms the basis of literally everything in the world. We'll come to know about that. From the Omkara, Lord Brahma created the sounds of the alphabet, the vowels, the consonants, semivowel, sibilants and others, distinguished by such features as long and short measure. Now, from this Om came the various vowels, consonants and so on and so forth. That means the entire alphabets came into existence. Now you see, once the alphabets come into existence, then the next things would be the words, isn't it? The grammar will come into effect, so on and so forth. Now, you may say, what exactly is this A, U and Ma? Now, this is nothing but the beginning, the rising and the dropping of a wave. The beginning of the wave, where it starts at A, U and Ma. The Ma is going in a longer duration, that means like that. So they started the alphabetical system. Now these alphabets are not just the alphabets. The alphabets represent, every alphabet represents a certain deity, divinity in this entire universe. It's just not words. Okay, it's just not some kind of a sound. Now think about the words that are there. A, A, E, U, U. Not the words, I'm sorry. The vowels that are there. A, A, E, U, U. You know, like that if you go up to Aha. So from A to Aha are the vowels. Then vowels are the way in which we make the sound. Alright. Now then we come to Ka, Kha, Ga, Gha, Nga, like that till Nya, Sh, Ya, Nya. Now imagine from Ka to Nya. Now if I attach the vowel to it, these are consonants. If I attach the vowel to it, then it makes sense. Think about it. If I just say Ka, Ka doesn't give us much understanding. But Ka represents the first deity or divinity in the universe. Okay, as we call her Lakshmi. Okay, she goes by the name Kamla. Now, if I have to add one more, say K to A, that becomes a K, Kamla. K to A, then it becomes Kamakshi, Kamini, various other kinds of goddesses that are there. Now, what does this represent? Then Ku. Like, if you keep on going till the end, you will find that every word, every letter along with a vowel creates a deity or a divinity. All right. So when a particular consonant to which a vowel is added, it creates a deity, a divinity. If I do not use these kind of letters, do you think I will be able to understand the deity or the divinity? Now, you may say, oh, I may not. But let me give you an idea about it. Imagine I have drawn a beautiful picture. Now, this is a picture which is depicting a woman or a man or whatever. I will ask the question, who is it? Can you tell me who is it? No idea. Till I actually name it. So the moment I name it, then it has a value. So think, if there is a woman in an audience of thousands of women, can I identify her? No. If there is a man in an audience of thousands, can I identify that man? No. Till I actually call out the name of the person. The moment I call out the name of the person, then it becomes important. Otherwise, nobody knows. So the goddesses need to be called. Yesterday there was a very funny incident. Now in South India, we have various ways of calling out women goddesses, the female deities or divinities. Now, I was not aware of this. So, somewhere it was written Andal, Andal. And somewhere else it was written Ambal. Now that D and B are two separate things. The moment I put Ambal, I believe it becomes the feminine potencies or the goddesses. So everybody is concerned. But just imagine, instead of B, I write D. Then she becomes a specific deity or a divinity. And she is connected to Vishnu. Whereas the first one is a generic term. So did you see, if I just change the B to D, it creates a big difference. First I am addressing the general people around. And the second one I am addressing a specific person. So did you see how one consonant can change the entire face of this, the divine? So this has given you an idea how important the letters are. So if I think in terms of the vowels or the consonants, then they really make a big difference. Alright? Now, again, since I am in Tamil Nadu at the moment, the term, a very, very funny letter, a very funny consonant is used, and that is called R. Now, in English it is written with the word Z. Now it becomes Z in English, but in South India it becomes R. So I was saying Kani Moji or something like that. So it becomes Kani Mori. So did you see that there are certain consonants which are silent? They have a different intonations. Now this is what he means by saying semi-vowel, sibilants and others. So there are so many things which goes into creating the word. So when Brahmaji was creating this, we need this kind of a thing to actually identify every individual person, being, animal, bird, or whatever. The all-powerful Brahma made use of this collection of sound to produce from his four faces the four Vedas, which appeared together with the sacred Omkara and the seven Vetri on invocations. His intention was to propagate the process of Vedic sacrifice according to the different functions performed by the priests of each of the four Vedas. Brahma taught these Vedas to his son, who were great sages among the Brahmanas and experts in the art of Vedic recitation. They in turn took the role of acharyas and imparted the Vedas to their own sons. In this way, throughout the cycle of 4 ages, generations after generations of disciples, all firmly fixed in their spiritual vows, have received these Vedas by disciplic succession. At the end of each Dwapar Yuga, the Vedas are edited into separate divisions by eminent sages. So now we have to come down from the vowels and the consonants to the letters. From the letters came the Vedas. And these Vedas are nothing but combination of words, letters into a sentence, into a poem. Now this particular poem was then recited by Brahmaji to his sons. Okay. Now what is the kind of memory we are carrying? My computer says 2.88 GB. What is the kind of memory these sages are carrying? I think it was endless. Today if I ask you a question, what did I do yesterday? Our expression would be, I don't remember. So, well, imagine, we have to remember, but we don't. Now do you understand the trails and the travels of this particular yoga? We don't remember most of the things that have happened to us. But the sages in the past, when Brahmaji started with his sons, they remembered everything. Okay? Imagine, their cache was absolutely clear. There was nothing before that, no? So their cache was clear, their memories were clear, so they could store a lot of stuff. And that is the reason why you will find that when Brahmaji taught to his 4 sons, the 4 sons taught to their own disciples, and then the disciples taught further and further and further, and we come to the 3rd yoga. So, did you understand? This was taught by means of verbal communication. It was only voice. There was nothing written down. So, yesterday we visited one library. It was called the Saraswati Library. Okay. Now, in that library, there was a Maratha king who was very much interested in retaining all these Vedas and the Shastras that are there. So he has created over 800,000 ancient texts. He has kept them in some library over here. Now this is a very interesting thing. We were not able to understand anything about it, but everything was in papyrus and all those things. But still they are 2000 and more years old. Think about it. There is an original manuscript of the one which was written by the Guru of Shivaji, which is called Das Bodh. It is by Ramdas, Samartha Ramdas. I saw that. It was wonderful to see that. I teach some people Das Bodh sometimes. There were the Vedas, there were the various kinds of other texts which were there. And yes, I always use a name in the English dictionary, which is Samuel Johnson. Samuel Johnson's first dictionary is also available over here. Samuel Johnson is the person who was responsible for touching those poles, if you remember the story. And the lifting of the skirt. That was a joke, but still, he wanted to see, and that is how he got it. So this is not the forum to give that joke out, but anyway. So I hope you understood. So this thing has to be retained by us. And we need to keep those beautiful books which are printed. Today we have printed books, but somebody has taken the pains of writing. And it was written on papers and various other paraphernalia. So these Vedas came down from eminent sages, observing that people in general were diminished in their lifespan, strength and intelligence by the influence of time. Great sages took inspiration from the personality of Godhead sitting within their hearts and systematically divided the Vedas. So the Vedas got divided, different. There are 4 Vedas which are already in existence. Then the Vedas were split down into chapters and verses and so on and so forth. O Brahmana, in the present age of the Vaivasvata Manu, the leader of the universe, led by Brahma and Shiva, requested the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the protector of all the worlds, to save the principle of religion. O most fortunate Shaunaka, the Almighty Lord, exhibiting a divine spark of portion of his plenary oceans, then appeared in the womb of Satyavan as the son of Parashar, that is a Parashar Muni. In this form, named Krishna Dvaipayana Vyas, he divided the one Veda into 4. So now we come to the point where Shiva and Brahmaji go to request Krishna and they say, we have such fantastic knowledge. And the current Yuga people have very little understanding because their lifespan is so short, 70 years, 80 years, 100 years at the most, some places 115 years, okay. So it so happens that they need to know and understand. So can we break it down so that they can understand better? Now today when people ask me, why am I doing satsangs in English? Okay. Imagine if I were to come 100 years ago, then I would not have done it in English. But today, this is the language of the world. Everybody listens to it and they can understand it. So I have to do something which the world understands at this point in time. So suppose if I came 200 years ago or 500 years ago or 1000 years ago, then I would have definitely given it out in another language, the one which people can understand. And those who know the Sai Satcharitra, do you know what language it was written in? It was written in Prakrit. It was not written in Marathi. No, it was written in Prakrit. Now, the original Sai Satcharit is in Prakrit. If you see the Marathi version of it, it's completely different. Now you come to the English version of it, it's still more different. Because Indra Kher then translated it. Now translations are losing the essence of it all. But the most important point is this. You need somebody to actually give an exposition on it. So you might learn everything in Sanskrit. But the current Yuga, the internet and the people across the world do not understand Sanskrit. So what is the point? I'm talking in Greek and Latin and nobody understands, then there is going to be a problem, isn't it? So it has to be done in English. And if I have to do it in English or other languages like maybe French or what is the second language that is the most important, if I have to do it in that, maybe Chinese, well, there will be someone out there who will do the translation in Chinese. It is also possible. So everything has to be adapted to today's day and age. We cannot do something which is done 100 years ago or even 50 years ago. The 50 years ago, the English language was a very funny language. For us today, the F's and all those other words are very important. You see all the serials that are there on Netflix and various others, these 4-letter words are very common. And imagine 10 years from now, if I am doing these kind of satsangs, I think they will carry all these words. When we went to publish a small book, we had to go through it very minutely and remove all these kind of words. But well, today there is a book which uses this word as the title of the book. And it has become a bestseller. Well, I have also bought it. I have not yet opened it, but I have yet to see. I still have to open it to see what exactly does it say. It says not giving an F. So imagine this is the language which changes and people understand that particular lingo only. And there are some fanatics who will say, no, we have to preserve the old language. You can't preserve anything today. You can try your level best. So yesterday when the question was asked, I said, oh my God, there is so much of deterioration going on around over here. Yes, of course, the buildings are crumbling, everything is coming down, the manuscripts are disappearing, everything is literally going to the dogs. So Guruji, what does it all mean? We should take care of your old. So I said, ring in the new. I'm not propagating the old has to go. I'm only propagating that we have to accept the new. And we don't want to accept the new. We just want to be following the age-old paths and traditions. No, it is not important. We have to accommodate everything, the old and the new as well. Because if I don't accept the new, then I am not even required in this world at this point in time. Can you imagine there is a tribe which they found in the in the Amazon jungles? Recently they were able to locate this tribe. Now if you get this tribe in today's day and age, do you think they will understand anything? Nothing. So it is important to adapt to the change. Human beings have to adapt to the changes that happen. Whether in clothing, food, living conditions, language, or anything for that matter, we need to adapt. And that is the reason why the Vedas were broken down into small bits. Alright? So these portions. So what did Krishna do when Shiva and Brahma visited him? He said, okay, I will have to be born. Okay, and now I have to give this knowledge to the world. So he was born as Vyasadeva. Now this entire Bhagavatam is written by him. Remember, his son is the one who is reciting it to the Muni, Parikshit. So all this I am sure you know that. Srila Vyasadeva separated the mantras of the Rig, Atharva, Yajur and Samaved into 4 divisions, just as one sorts out a mixed collection of jewels into piles. Thus he composed 4 distinct Vedic literatures. Now here there is an example given, and I want you to think of whether this example applies to you. He says he divided these Vedas into 4 categories, that is, Rig Ved, Samved and all that. And then he is given an example of jewels. Can you imagine sorting jewels? Well, there are human beings who don't even know what a jewel looks like. Alright? People don't even know what a jewel looks like, and here you are talking about sorting. So is it adapting to today's day and age? No, it doesn't. Right? If I were to tell you, can we sort out with the sauces that are available? Of course. Yeah. This is this sauce, this is that sauce. We will know the colors of the sauces better, isn't it? Alright. The most powerful and the intelligent Vyasadeva called 4 of his disciples, O Brahmana, and entrusted to each of them one of these 4 samhitas. So further to it, so he called his disciples. Vyasadeva had his own disciple, so he called all of them and he said, okay, now you 4 guys, you read all this, different stuff. And remember it. Srila Vyasadeva then taught the first samhita, the Rig Ved, to Paila and gave his collection to the Bharvacha. To the sage Vaishampayana, he taught the collection of Yajur mantra named Nigada. He taught the Samved mantra designated as the Chandoga Samahita to Jaimini, and he spoke the Atharva Ved to his dear disciple Sumantu. So he divided it amongst 4 more disciples. After dividing his Samhita into 2 parts, the wise Paila showed to the Indra Pramati and Bhaskala. Bhaskala further divided his collection into 4 parts, O Bhargava, and instructed them to his disciple Bodhya, Yajnavalkya, Parashara and Agnimitra. So these are the names of all the rishis that, further it is going broken down, because lack of memory space. You understand? They were not doing some mining at that time, okay? Okay, this is data mining in a different way. I mean, those of all you guys over here who understand computers will say, how data mining is done, or maybe cloud computing. Okay, how much can you store on a cloud? Maybe there was no Amazon at that time. Okay, so then what happened? Indra Pramiti, the self-controlled sage, taught his Samhita to the learned sage Mandukya, whose disciple Devamitra later passed the divisions of the Rig Veda to Saubhari and others. The son of Mandukya and Sakyalya divided his own collection into 5 interesting one subdivisions such as Vatsya, Mudgala, Salya, Gokhalya and Shishira. The sage Jatukarnya, also a disciple of Sakalya, and after dividing the Samhita, he received from Sakalya into 3 parts. He added a 4th section, a Vedic glossary. He taught one of the parts to each of his 4 disciples, Balaka, Paila, that was the second Paila, Jabala and Viraja. Bhaskali then assembled the Valakhyala Samhita, a collection from all the branches of the Rig Veda. This collection was received by Valayani, Bhajya and Kashara. Thus, these various Samhitas of the Rig Veda were maintained through disciplic succession to the saintly Brahmanas. Simply by hearing of this distribution of the Vedic hymns, one will be freed from all sins. The disciples of Vaishampayana became authorities of the Atharva Ved. They were known as the Charakas because they executed strict vows to free their guru from the sin of killing a Brahmana. Once Yajnavalkya, one of the disciples of Vaishampayana, said, "O Master, how much benefit will be derived from the feeble endeavors of those weak disciples of yours? I will personally perform some outstanding penance." Addressed thus, the spiritual master Vaishampayana became angry and said, "Go away from here. Enough of you, a disciple who insults the Brahmanas. Furthermore, you must immediately give back everything I have taught you." So, naturally, there was some issue. This was passed down from disciple to disciple to disciples to disciple. And every guru has specific number of disciples who were given specific knowledge. So there were certain disciples who were given specific knowledge and they broke it down further and further and further and further. There was one question which was asked to me just a few days ago. And that question was, can we write our stories? The one which we are talking about. Guruji, you are giving us some lessons and can we write the story and the teachings in a different form? I said, please go ahead and do it. The reason why it is important to do is so that it carries further and further. Now, as you can see, the kind of instructions which I am giving are not at all, contrary to what is written in these Vedas and the Shastras. They are basic tenets, they are basic knowledge that is being passed around. So, if you recollect, yesterday's one very important verse said, that we have to be good to everybody, even if they are worse to us. Now, I'm sure this is a good teaching which can be carried further. So, we have to carry it further. That is the reason why I said you can please write it. Please write at your own, and just write the way it is mentioned over here. So, it so happened then when Vaishampayana, this particular Rishi, which is Vyasadeva, he had one disciple who said, you see, today's day and age, nobody is going to understand. What is the point in giving this kind of a knowledge to people? So Vyasadeva said to him, this is not correct. Okay, what you are saying is not right. You cannot make judgments on anybody or anything. So he says, please go away from here. You are insulting the Brahmanas. The Brahmanas are the people who are there who have certain kind of knowledge. We cannot insult them. Insulting them means telling them that they don't have knowledge. They have their knowledge by rote. They just can say, blah, 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 blah. Just like a parrot, they can say it. Doesn't mean that they don't have any understanding or knowledge. They also have a certain kind of knowledge. So Yajnavalkya, the son of Devrata, then vomited the mantras of the Yajurveda and went away from there. The assembled disciples looked greedily upon these Yajur hymns, assumed the form of patronage and picked them up. These divisions of the Yajur Vedas therefore became known as the most beautiful Taittiriya Samhita, the hymn collected by patriarchs or Taittiriya. Titar. We call them the bird, the tiny birds which are there called titar. Just think, I want you to visualize this. So, Yajnavalkya, he vomited it out, all the verses. Okay. And there, all the Rishi Munis were waiting to grasp those verses. Now, why does a person do that? Do you know why it is done? You see, just imagine you take some 20 10 rupee coins and throw it out and see what happens. How many people will come and pick them up? There will be those who want to pick up 2, 3 and 4 also, right? And there will be some who may not even get one, but he is just trying his level best to reach it. So in the same way, these yogis, they became tiny birds so that they can go and eat that portion of it. So it became Taittiriya, a kind of a Vedas, it's basically a Taittiriya Samhita. Samhita means a collection. Now, I'm sure you know the Taittiriya Upanishad. So it became that. My dear Brahmana Shaunaka, Yajnavalkya then desired to find our new Yajur mantra, unknown to even his spiritual master. With this in mind, he offered attentive worship to the powerful Lord of the Sun. So there was a fourth one, which is called the Yajur Ved. Do you remember when we started with 3 only? These 3 were the basic Vedas, okay? Then the Yajur Ved was the last one, which was not known to anybody. It was not given out. So, Yajnavalkya then said, I want to know this Vedas which is not known to anybody. So he prayed to the Lord. Sri Yajnavalkya said, I offer my respectful obeisance to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, appearing as the sun. You are present as the controller of the 4 kinds of living entities, the beginning from Brahma and extending now to the blades of grass. Just as the sky is present on inside and outside every living being, you exist both within the hearts of all the super souls and externally in the form of time. Just as the sky cannot be covered by the clouds present within it, you are never covered by any false material designation. By the flow of years, which are made up of tiny fragments of time called kshanas, lavas and nimishas, you alone maintain the world, drying up the waters and giving them back as rain. So he is saying a prayer to Krishna. Okay, Yajnavalkya is saying this prayer to Krishna, saying that you are living inside of every human being. As the supreme divine consciousness, you are outside. As a spirit soul, you are inside. Right? So he says that you are there externally as a time. And time is divided into 3 kinds of things, which is Shana. Shana means a second. Then, like we have second, minutes and hours, in the same way, it is there. O glowing one, O powerful Lord of the Sun, you are the chief of all the demigods. I meditate with careful attention on your fiery globe. Because of those who offer prayer to you 3 times daily according to the Vedic methods, passed down through authorized disciplic succession, you burn away all the sinful activities, all consequent sufferings, and even the original seed of desire. You are personally present as the indwelling Lord of the hearts of all moving and non-moving beings who depend completely on your shelter. Indeed, you animate their material minds, senses and vital layers to act. The world has been seized and swallowed by the python of darkness in his horrible mouth and has become unconscious, as if dead. But mercifully glancing upon the sleeping people of the world, you raise them up with the gift of sight. Thus you are most magnanimous. As the 3 sacred junctures of each day, you engage the pious of the path of ultimate good, inducing them to perform religious duties that situate them in their spiritual positions. So this is a continuation of the prayers. Now finally, when he is talking about the 3 sacred junctures. Now, do you know what are the 3 sacred junctures? If you divide 24 by 3, comes to 8, isn't it? So at 12 o'clock in the night to 8 o'clock in the morning, that's the time when people are asleep, isn't it? Then from 8 in the morning, take another 8 more hours, people are working. And after that, people go home and they wind up their activities. So these are the three different time zones which people use during the day. It's an 8-hour breakup. So this is exactly what he said. So now he said to the Lord, you are the one who is telling everybody to be pious and engage in ultimate good of mankind. The Lord always teaches good stuff, and we are always supposed to use this good stuff and be good and induce religious duties. So when we are performing any duties in this world, they have to be religious, they have to be good, which induces religiosity. So when we are teaching people, we are always supposed to do the good, we are supposed to teach the good stuff. And then the person will become better in the spiritual position. Spiritual position is actually a position where you can become enlightened at a later point. So, just like an earthly king, you travel about everywhere spreading fear among the unholy as the powerful deities of the directions offered in their folded palms, lotus flowers and other respectful presentation. Therefore, my Lord, I am prayerfully approaching your lotus feet, which are honored by the spiritual master of the three worlds, because I hope to receive from you the mantra of the Yajurved unknown to anyone else. So he is praying to Suryadev. Suryadev is also a form of the Krishna. Alright. Sutta Goswami said, satisfied by such glorification, the powerful sun god assumed the form of a horse and presented to the sage Yajnavalkya Yajur mantra, previously unknown in human society. From this countless number of mantras of the Yajurveda, the powerful sage compiled 15 new branches of Vedic literature. These became known as the Vaishayani Samhita because they were produced from the hairs of the horse's mane, and they were accepted in disciplic succession by the followers of Kanva, Madhyadina and other rishis. Jaimini Rishi, the authority of Samved, had a son named Sumantu, and the son of Sumantu was Satwan. The great sage Jaimini spoke to each of them at a different part of the Samved Samahita. Sukarma, another disciple of Jaimini, was a great scholar. He divided the mighty tree of the Samved into 1000 Samhitas. Then, O Brahmana, 3 disciples of Sukarma, Hiranyanaba, the son of Kaushala, Oshanji and Avantya, who were later advanced in spiritual realization, took charge of the Sam mantra. The 500 disciples of Paishyani and Avantya became known as the northern singers of the Samved, and in later times some of them also became known as the eastern singers. 5 other disciples of Pushyanji named Lokansi, Mangali, Kulya, Kushida and Kuksi each received 100 Samhitas. Krita, the disciple of Hiranyanaba, spoke 24 Samhitas to his own disciples, and by the remaining collection were passed down by the self-realized sage Avantya. So this way all the literature which was spoken of by Brahmaji to his 4 sons was then broken down further and further into smaller and smaller books. Imagine having the entire Veda in one place. It's not possible to own it, right? So we have a tiny literature with us. Like just now, imagine if I were to carry my 18 or 20 books that are there. They are huge volumes. Okay, I will have to have a trailer behind. So it is not possible. So now we have come to a point where all these things have been broken down, all the knowledge has been broken down into finer and finer, different kinds of knowledge. Today, how many sections of this knowledge are there existing in this world? Do you know, just you take a subject which was invented, I am saying invented, a few years ago, maybe a couple of decades ago, called psychology. How many branches of psychology are there today? Many branches. Now, many years ago when I was learning science, it was called general science. From general science came physics, chemistry and so on. Now, I just take physics. Do you know how many branches of physics are there? I don't even know. Mathematics. I just knew general mathematics. algebra, geometry, trigonometry, I don't know. Then what came? Maths has become like a huge, humongous kind of a subject. I don't even know. Your subject, painting. How many different kinds of painting are there? You can't even imagine. If I stand outside my door over here, there is somebody who has drawn a crayon. Okay? That looks different. And I am in a town over here where it is very famous for one kind of a painting. Alright? What is it called? It's called Tanjore paintings. So now you know where I am. Okay, so we have come to the end of chapter 6. There is chapter 7 which talks about the Puranic literatures. Now I am sure, I can just run through this whole thing. Right? So I will start chapter 7. I have got just another 10 more minutes to go, so I will do this. So this is called chapter 7 from Canto 12, Srimad Bhagavatam. The title is Puranic Literatures. Sutta Goswami said, Sumantu Rishi, the authority of the Atharva Ved, taught his Samhita to his disciple Kabanda, who in turn spoke it to Pathya and Ved Darsha. So you will ask me why this new chapter. Okay, we have to agree to it. Alright. So, Sukalyani, Brahmabali, Madosa and Piplayani were disciples of Vedadarsha. Hear from me the names of the disciples of Pathya. My dear Brahmana, they are Komuda, Shaunaka, Jajali and all who knew the Atharva Veda very well. Babru and Saindyadhyavana, the disciple of Shaunaka, studied the two divisions of their spiritual master's compilation of the Atharva Veda. Saindyavayana, disciple of Savarna and the disciple of other sages, also studied the editions of the Atharva Veda. Nakshatra Kalpa, Shanti Kalpa, Kashyapa, Angirasa and others among the acharyas of the Atharva Veda. Now, O sage, listen as I name the authorities of the Puranic literature. Taitrayani, Kashyapa, Savarni, Akratvana, Vaishampayana and Harita are the 6 masters of the Purana. Each of them studied one of the 6 anthologies of the Puranas from my father, Romaharshana, who were the disciples of Srila Vyasadeva. I became the disciple of these 6 authorities and thoroughly learned all the presentations of the Puranic wisdom. Romaharshana, a disciple of Ved Vyas, divided the Puranas into 4 basic compilations. The sage Kashyapa and I, along with Savarni and Akritvarna, a disciple of Rama, learned these 4 divisions. O Shaunaka, please hear with attention the characteristics of the Puranas which have been defined by the most eminent learned Brahmanas in accordance with the Vedic literature. O Brahmanas, authorities on the subject understand a Purana to contain 10 characteristic topics. The creation of the universe, the subsequent creation of the world and beings, the maintenance of all living beings, their sustenance, the rulers of various manus, the dynasties of great kings, the activities of such kings, annihilation, motivation, and the supreme shelter. Other scholars say that these great Puranas deal with the 10 topics, while lesser Puranas may deal with 5. Today we don't have kings and queens and various. So these Puranas have become pretty old for us to understand. We will not be able to relate to the kings that are there, were there in the past. I don't think we can even dream of what they were doing at that point in time. So since that yuga has gone away, so we have to now see what is the best thing for us. From the agitation of the original mode within the unmanifest nature, material nature, the Mahat Tattva arises. From the Mahat Tattva comes the element false ego, which divides into 3 aspects. This threefold false ego further manifests as the subtle form of perception, as the senses and the gross sense objects. The generation of all these is called the creation. This we have already discussed in the Tattvajnana that went, I think many times it has been discussed. I don't want to again discuss it. The secondary creation which exists by the mercy of the Lord is the manifest amalgamation of the desires of the living entities, just as seed produces additional seeds, activities that produce material desires, and the performer produces moving and non-moving life forms. Vritti means the process of sustenance by which the moving being lives upon the non-moving. For a human, vritti specifically means acting for one's livelihood in a manner situated in the personal nature. Such actions may be carried out either in the pursuit of selfish desires or in accordance with the law of God. Now, I think we need a small explanation over here. What is the meaning of the word vritti? Vritti is a basic tenet of a humankind. Everybody has a particular kind of expression, a way in which they would want to do things in the world, isn't it? So these are vrittis. Now, vritti is a process of sustenance. So some of you are information technology people. Some of you are in storage. Some of you are in system. Some of you are in some other. Some of you are in marketing. So many people are there. Some in accounts. So there are various departments and divisions that are existing in this world. So every individual, if you go and look deeper into your own psyche, you will understand you are specifically meant for that particular job. Right? Now, if I were to put you from one job to the other, now you are a marketing person and I tell you, go and do the job of a person like systems person or something like that. Oh, that is not my cup of tea. I don't understand anything. I only know marketing. But if you tell a computer specialist, come and market this, he is not able to do it. Correct? Right? It's the same thing. Now, there are people who are working in companies like Google and Amazon and so on and so forth. And tell them, okay, take this pen and sell it to someone. You think they will be able to do? No. Or tell them, can you write down the accounts? They will not be able to do it. Right? It's very funny. People don't understand what the other person is doing. And they think that they know too much. Nobody knows anything anymore. One person cannot have all the knowledge in the world. No. Even if you are a CEO of a company, you still need a CTO of a company, a technologist. You need a marketing person. You need, operations person. I don't know how many COO, CMO, C this, C that. I don't know. Finally, everybody becomes a D. You know what D stands for? Duffers, donkeys. Alright? Nobody is an expert. They can't go from D to E. Because once when you become a donkey or a duffer, after that there is, E. E is all knowledge. Anyway, coming back to this. So, vritti is that quality which is there in every individual. Quality. So, those qualities are important. And then you do something with the world with that quality. So you use those qualities that you have, right? And you use it because you have to you earn your livelihood. So I hope you understood that. In each age, the infallible Lord appears in this world among the animals, human beings, sages and demigods. By his activities in these incarnations, he protects the universe and kills the enemies of Vedic culture. So, it's an important thing which you should know. The Lord appears in all these four. The animals, human beings, sages and demigods. The Lord appears in all these four forms. Okay? So, he can come as a demigod. He can come as a sage, a saint, Or he can come as a human being. Or he can come as an animal also. So tomorrow you cannot say, okay, dog, shoo, shoo. You can't do that. No, because it might be God. Not D-O-G, but G-O-D. Who knows? So we have to be very careful, right? So he comes in the form. The Lord comes in this form so that he can propagate these kind of things further and destroy those people who are against the dharma. That is adharma. He has to come to reset the whole thing. You do your reset also, no? In each reign of Manu, 6 types of personalities appear as the manifestation of Lord Hari, the ruling Manu, the chief demigod, the son of Manu, Indra, the great sage, and the partial incarnations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Dynasties are lines of kings originating with Lord Brahma and extending continuously through past, present, and future. The accounts of each such dynasties, especially of their most prominent members, constitute the subject of dynastic history. We have learned dynastic history, isn't it? Chola king, this king, that king did so many things. There are 4 types of cosmic inhalations: occasional, elemental, continuous, and ultimate. all of which are effective by the inherent potency of the Supreme Lord. Learned scholars have designated this topic as dissolution. Now, there are different kinds of annihilations of this world. I mean, you have seen some places like Mohenjo-daro. Mohenjo-daro got destroyed, isn't it? People have heard about Mohenjo-daro getting destroyed. You have heard of the Aztec civilization getting destroyed. How did that happen? Nobody knows. Maybe some comet came and hit it, or maybe there were some floods. Dwapar Yuga, you remember how the entire, the island of Dwarka went underwater? It's the same thing which happened with Constantinople, or what we call, and there was hanging gardens of Babylon. I don't even know where they are. Do you know? We can go there. So nobody knows where these places are today. Alright? There are various other cities also which were suddenly disappeared. Like that. So these are different kinds of annihilations that happen, and these annihilations happen because of the Divine Lord. And these cosmic annihilations are called occasional, elemental, continuous, and ultimate. So these kind of annihilations do occur, and we have to. Alright, I think we have just a few verses to go. Out of ignorance, the living being performs material activities and thereby becomes, in one sense, the cause of creation, maintenance, and destruction of the universe. Some authorities call the living being the personality underlying the material creation, while others say he is the unmanifest self. People themselves are responsible for all these things. You will find that today when we are talking about the hole in the sky, ozone and stuff like that, so we ourselves are also responsible for our own destruction. Right? Today when you want to have a specific kind of an idli, it's not available, no? So when we went to a particular town, just imagine, you are going to a place called Karaikudi, Karaikudi or something like that. Now Karaikudi is famous for what? Chettinad cuisine. There is no restaurant over there selling Chettinad cuisine, by the way. Right? Not a single restaurant over there, and we were all amazed. And naturally, what did we do? We Googled. And we tried to find out, and no Google was giving us the right answer. Why? Because that thing doesn't exist. Chettinad kitchen is shifted to Bangalore and Mumbai and all those places. Okay. So if you want to eat Chettinad cuisine, please go to Mumbai, Chennai, Calcutta and all those places, and maybe you can eat over there. But in Chettinad itself, Z-E-R-O, it's not there. Right? So this is what happens. The Supreme Absolute Truth is present throughout all the stages of awareness, waking, sleep, and deep sleep. Although all the phenomena manifest by the illusory energy within the functions of the living entity, he also exists separately from all these. Thus, situated in his own transcendence, he is ultimate and unique shelter. So God is there inside as well as outside. Inside, he is there in a manifest form. Outside, he is there in an unmanifest form. God exists in both the places. Although a material object may assume various forms and names, its essential ingredient is always present as the basis of existence, just like water. Water is there in all forms, like it's there in the form of steam also, ice also. But it is water. Similarly, both conjointly and separately, the separate absolute truth, the Supreme Absolute Truth, is always present with the created material body throughout its phase of existence, beginning with conception and ending with death. Either automatically or because of one's regulated spiritual practice, one's mind may stop functioning on the material platform of waking consciousness, sleep and deep sleep. Then one understands the Supreme Soul and withdraws from material endeavor. This is the stage that we are all supposed to go to for becoming an enlightened person, whether it is night, day or any of those three, 8 into 3. You remember the 8 into 3 is equal to 24 in that day. That thing doesn't exist for this realized being. We all have to go towards that. For him, night is day, day is night. It does not really matter to this kind of a person. Either automatically or okay. Sages expert in ancient histories have declared that the Puranas, according to their various characteristics, can be divided into 18 major Puranas and 18 secondary Puranas. The 18 major Puranas are the Brahma Puran, Padma Puran, Vishnu, Shiva, Linga, Garuda, Narada, Bhagavata, Agni, Skanda, Bhavishya, Brahma Vaivarta, Markandeya, Vamana, Varaha, Matsya, Kurma, and Brahmanda Purana. There are so many Puranas, there are 18 Puranas in all. I have thoroughly described to you, Brahmana, the expansion of the branches of the Vedas by the great sage Vyasdev, his disciples and the disciples of his disciples. One who listens to this narration will increase in spiritual strength. We have come to the end of this particular chapter called the last one. We were distributing all this to different people. In this we have distributed the Puranic literature. Alright, so next time when we will open a new chapter, chapter 8. So we have come to the end of chapter 7 from the last canto. So I will take your leave. You have a very good day and take care of yourself.